main audience is young people that are really looking for guidance on how they can become financially free and become free as people, and especially how things go on, they're very, very confused. So we were talking about the kind of emotional habits and how we were taught. So let's start with that. What do you think is the main problem that people have in their minds when it comes to the way they've been taught and kind of like how they think about financial education as a whole?
That's Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a story about my two fathers. My poor dad was a school teacher, very smart man. And my rich dad never went to school. And so the information, so starting at the age of 9, growing up in Hawaii, the information was different. The advice was different. So I think most of your viewers out there sitting inside their head are the words from their mother and father. Go to school, get a job, pay taxes, save money, buy a house because it's an asset, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. That creates poor people. It's a hypnosis train going through your brain. So when people say, how do I change my life? Well, you change those words. I wouldn't go to school because you learn nothing about money in school. I wouldn't get a job because if I have a job, I'm an employee. And then I'd pay taxes. And I don't pay taxes. And I don't save money. And I use debt to get rich. And I don't invest in the stock market. That's why I'm rich. And so the young people who are listening right now are saying, but that's what my mom and dad said. But that's what mom and dad say all over the world. So to the young people, I just say challenge or question what you've been taught. Because from the Bible, I'm not religious, the word becomes flesh. So if you say, go to school, and you say, but I learned nothing about money. Get a job, you become an employee. If you're an employee, you work for money. I pay taxes. Then they tell you to save money. Why would you save money when the government's printing money? And get out of debt. Well, debt is money. I use debt to get rich. Most people use debt to get poor and invest in the stock market. I don't invest in the stock market. So when you wonder why so many people struggle financially, is they haven't challenged the hypnosis, the words. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, pay taxes. Until you question those hypnotic trances, you don't change. So when I was a little boy, I had poor dad and rich dad, saying,
in your head.
He's saying, go to school. My rich dad goes, what a waste of time that is,
Right.
And the way my rich dad taught me, just playing Monopoly. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. I learned about money. I learned to be a capitalist, not an employee. I don't pay taxes. I use debt for money. And I don't invest in the stock market. And when I say that to adults, they get angry at me. So, well, that's what I've done. I said, well, that's why you're poor. But when I said to young people, you have a chance yet. You have a chance. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying question the hypnotic trance put in your head, because that's what keeps people poor.
And I think that's the advantage young people have, and you know that because they haven't been brainwashed.
Oh, they have been brainwashed, but they have a chance to change the brainwashing.
They don't need to deny 30 years of their life.
Correct.
Because if you've been doing a job, and like if you're doing all those things, and now Robert is going to say this, then I either can deny that or deny 30 years of my life. So it's a big, big problem, right?
Yeah, the old guys like me, they get angry at me. So I've done that all my life. I said, yeah, that's why you're poor.
Yeah.
And they go, and they get angry at me when the economy doesn't exist out here. The economy exists in here.
Yeah.
And until you change the words become flesh. If you get a job, you're an employee. If you save money, you're a saver. And why would you save money when they're printing money? And they say, invest in the stock market for your pension. Well, why would you do that? Because that's how they get your money. And get out of debt when guys like me are using debt as money. So question it, that's all I'm saying.
So, and you're saying, I think it's in your book, you said when you accept, your rich dad told you when you accept a paycheck, your brain is dead, or you stop thinking. And I think that's very powerful to people. So what do you think about that?
Well, money is a powerful force, as you know. So when I was 9 years old, growing up in Hawaii, I asked my rich dad to be my teacher, my mentor, be an apprentice to him. He says, then I'll never pay you. He says, if I pay you, you think like an employee. And so, wait a minute. So I had to think differently. And that's what I'm challenging the millennials right now is, you have a chance yet. Don't wait till you're an old guy like me to find out my pension is gone. See, right now in America, Wall Street is robbing the pension
funds
of the school teachers, the firefighter, and police officers. So there's going to be millions of people like me, my age, who they got a job, they work hard, they save money, they got out of debt, and they put the money in a pension plan, and it's all gone.
So what do you think are some of those
I laugh, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah. And for those people, it's very unfortunate. And they think their government and the system has their back, but that's definitely not the case. It couldn't be further from the case, right?
You got it.
And
you're being screwed.
Yeah.
And it starts by going to school.
Yeah.
And your parents tell you to go to school.
Yeah. So
and my rich dad said, what are you going to learn in school? About money. I mean, you can learn to be a doctor or a lawyer, but you learn nothing about money.
So what do you think are some of those right beliefs to have? Some of the right beliefs to have about money, about the way you create wealth, about the way you actually create the life you want? What would be some of the right ones? We know the bad ones. Go to school, get a job, all these things.
Well, it's not right or wrong. You see, most people should be employees.
Okay.
Because most people, it's easier to be an employee. Like when I flew for the Marine Corps in Vietnam, and my poor dad wanted me to become an airline pilot. He says, go fly for the airlines. And I said, no, I can do that. I could already fly.
Yeah.
Why would I fly for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
He said, but you love flying. I said, yeah, but I want to fly for the rest of my life. I just wanted a bigger challenge. And a bigger challenge would be to be an entrepreneur, because I'd have to learn new things. I'd have to learn 10 times more than ever than being a pilot. So for me, it was right for me to become an entrepreneur because I was really interested in learning about money and business and economics and all this. But most employees aren't. So for most people who are employees, they should get a job, work hard, save money, pay your taxes and all that. But entrepreneurs don't pay taxes. We don't save money. We use debt as money. And everything's different. And I don't invest in the stock market. But I had to pay the price, which was get my own education, not the stuff they teach you in school.
So how do you know that you're meant to be an entrepreneur? Is there something that you need to feel? Is there something that you need to do? It can be trained to anybody. Like you said, not everybody needs, some people are meant to be employees and want to do that actually. They don't want to.
Most people want to be employees.
Okay.
They want the paycheck and they want the pension. They want security. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
But many people today don't have that choice. If you lose your job, like my poor dad eventually lost his job. And then he realized going to school, getting a job didn't help him. He had a PhD. He didn't have the skills for the world. He stepped out of the academic world and onto the streets. The cats ate him alive out there. Most school teachers cannot survive in the real world. Not in my world, at least, because they don't have the mental strength, spiritual strength, emotional strength, or the education to sustain the battles of being an entrepreneur. I have international businesses, thousands of employees. A school teacher, they don't have that. They don't want that. But unfortunately, with artificial intelligence coming and replacing more and more people, soon Uber drivers will be out of jobs too.
Because of Tesla and all these other ones that are creating,
driverless cars. So all the truck drivers and all this, they're out of work.
Which is the biggest category of employment in the USA. I think that's right.
Was it truck drivers?
Drivers, biggest employment category.
It's the biggest category for men.
Yeah.
You see all these men who are, John Wayne and Tarzan and Rambo. Yeah. They're going to be out of work.
So what do you think? So let's say I'm 22 right now, or I'm 25, or I'm 30. Let's say I'm 18. Let's say I work with myself and I start questioning my beliefs and I start realizing that I've been brainwashed and there's no real reason I should get a job, I should do all these things. And I might be in a situation, because this is what most people do, they pay a lot of money for the education and they end it, and then there's no job waiting for them.
Because they'll learn nothing about money.
And they have the worst type of debt, which is student loan
yeah,
that you cannot.
A very smart young man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they're like 130,000 in debt. So how do you recommend, because most people are in that situation, and they're even more attuned to safety because now they have debt, so they're afraid. So what do you think that person should do? They've started to question their beliefs. They got it. They know, okay, I've been brainwashed. I know, but what do I do now next?
Well, not to be commercial about it, but
Yeah.
that's why I created the cash flow game.
Yeah.
It's the only game that teaches accounting.
Yeah.
And most people come out of school, they don't even know what accounting is. They say, oh, they taught me to balance a checkbook. I'm going, big deal, You have to know assets and liabilities. You must understand taxes. The rich don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
And the rich use debt as money. So the question is, that's what I had to do when I was in my 20s. I said, how is it the rich learn to use debt as money? That's a challenge. And the brain goes,
because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you got it. And then how do they not pay taxes? And what you'll find out in my new book, Fake, is the combination of debt and taxes. You see, the more debt I use, the less tax I pay.
Right.
It's counterintuitive.
And that works because you're creating jobs, or why is that working?
Well, there's many reasons,
Okay.
and that's why I have the best tax advisors. The biggest thing for most young people is that our schools teach us to be ICs, independent contractors,
Okay.
or self-employed, or even if you're an employee, you're still an independent contractor who has a job, and you do it by yourself. I think much of the young world is in the selfie world. Look at me, look at me,
Yeah.
look at me. Whereas in my world, it's a team sport. I'm a rugby player. I go on the field with a team, toughest, meanest guys I know. And so you could be the A student from Princeton, but I go on the field with 15 tough men, kick your ass. And so the average guy is coming out there, like, oh, I got an A, I went to Princeton, I went to Harvard, and the corporate America comes out and they go, boom. So that's why when I talk to young people, I say, look, it's a team sport. So the first person I have is a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper is the lowest paid person on my team, but the most important.
Right.
The bookkeeper then keeps the accurate records that my accountant can use, and my attorney can use, and my banker can use. That's the combination there. And my banker, my attorney, and my accountant must work together as a team. Most people, their bankers, accountants, and attorneys don't work together as teams, because in school we're taught to take our tests on our own. If you ask for help, you're cheating. In my world, it's called cooperation. And what I found with most smart people, they don't know how to cooperate. They don't know how to ask for help, because in their brains, that's cheating. It means you're stupid. It means you're weak. It means you're stupid. I didn't have that problem because I was stupid in school, so I was asked for help. But the teacher says that's cheating.
And that's very interesting, because I had the fortune to start a company when I was 16 years old, and that was exactly the mentality that I had. If I don't do everything well, if I'm not the person that has all the answers, I'm failing. And I was not the best student, so I didn't really stuck by the rules. And I think that's an interesting thing with you. What rugby taught you, and being in the
Marine Corps.
Yeah, taught you.
When we flew into combat, we flew in as sections of aircraft.
Right.
We flew
Together.
in as teams. That's the military.
Yeah. So what do you think are some of the lessons that you learned doing those things? Rugby, pilot.
Well, I look at most small entrepreneurs. I call it the selfie world. They're like, oh, look at me. Oh, look at me.
Yeah. The Instagram entrepreneurs, especially. It's great. It's just great.
I'm the smartest. Oh.
Right.
And I want the smartest attorneys, accountants, bookkeepers, bankers, politicians. I come at it as a team. Just think about this. It's like a basketball team. They're playing basketball. But you went to Harvard. You have a master's, your PhD. But you're playing against 5 guys. you know, I don't care how smart you are. Those 5 guys will kick your butt all day long.
This is not in the movies. Bruce Lee cannot really beat 10 people in real life,
That's right. But that's what
in the movies,
believe.
that's what's perceived. Like if you're good enough, you can beat 10 people.
Yeah, that's
in real
not
life,
true.
you're going to lose every time.
Not in the corporate world. So I operate according to the rules of corporate America.
Yeah.
I don't operate according to the rules of employee America. They're different. The tax rules for corporate guys is less than employees. Employees pay the highest taxes.
Yeah.
Guys like Trump and me pay 0.
And people are angry
Legally.
at that, which is very interesting. People are very angry at people that don't pay taxes, which is, again, a proof that people cannot wrap their heads around that.
Because they've been hypnotized and go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes.
Yeah.
Until they change those words, their lives are not going to change. So they get angry, but they're angry at the words in their head.
Yeah. So what are some of the other things, some key points that we could talk about from your new book? Because I know Rich Dad Poor Dad, you probably talked so much about that. It's a great book. I've read it when I was 15, and it's amazing that you've made accounting so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a combination between an amazing storyteller and accounting, which is not the combination you would think of. So
Right.
I think when I look at it, I think that's the reason it had so much success. Because people devoured it like a story, but it was accounting. So you tricked them.
You're a very smart young man.
So you made them eat their broccoli by making it look
Yes.
like a Big Mac or something like that. It's amazing. So we're not going to talk that much about that. But what do you think are some key things that was the reason that you wrote this book, and some things that we can give people?
Well, if Rich Dad Poor Dad was high school, this is graduate school.
Okay.
So it's basically saying many of the same things at a little higher level of thought. So a person should start with Rich Dad Poor Dad. If they don't like Rich Dad Poor Dad, they'll hate this book.
Perfect.
Because they went to school, they got a job, they're working hard, they're saving money, they're getting out of debt, and they're in the stock market.
Right.
They're getting screwed.
Right.
But if you want to find out why guys like me don't do that, then you read Fake. The biggest thing about Fake is, the dollar became fake, the US dollar became fake money in '71. But it's the fake teachers. Why would you listen to a poor person? Why would you listen to a poor person about money? And that was my poor dad. Very good man, PhD, but he always says, go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. He's trying to hypnotize me. And my rich dad, thank God I had a rich dad, he goes, you gotta be an idiot to follow that advice. And so you're a very bright young man to pick up Rich Dad Poor Dad is only a book on accounting. My cash flow game is only a book on accounting.
That's a takeaway.
But if you don't know accounting, you don't have accountability.
Yeah.
You have accountability in your life. And then you can question when somebody tells you to invest in the stock market. I go, well, when do I get my money back? So in Fake, I talk about the infinite return. I never use my money. I don't need to save money. I use debt 100% of the time, and I don't pay taxes. So that's kind of what you find out in Fake. Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. Because every time a teacher told me to get a job, I said, you gotta be kidding me. She goes, if you don't get good grades, you won't get a job. And I said, oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, And the teacher would go, nuts. And they go, why don't you want a job? Because I'll pay taxes then. You gotta pay your taxes. And I said, well, what about this? So I took real estate courses, not because I like real estate, because real estate is about debt and taxes.
Right.
So the more debt I use, which is real money, debt is real money, the less tax I pay.
And especially with the interest rates right now, they've been lowest in the last 5,000 years or something like that.
Money is cheap right now, zero. Get it free.
Yeah.
Why would you save it? Why would you save it when they print it? It's until you question, all the young people, they just question what's inside that head. Who hypnotized you?
Parents most of the time. Most probably.
And were your parents rich or poor?
Probably poor. Well,
hard working,
right?
paying taxes, they went to school, if you're middle class.
Yeah. So for the people...
Do you think Donald Trump's sons pay taxes?
None of them pay taxes.
No. Do you think they have jobs? No. In that book, I have Jared Kushner, who's Ivanka Trump's husband.
Yeah.
And the New York Times interviews him. The reporter is an A student, smart guy with a job, and he just can't understand how Kushners, who are richer than the Trumps, Jewish family richer than the Trumps, how they get away with not paying taxes. And this reporter was going crazy. It's in the book, in Fake. He just couldn't understand it because he's been hypnotized. So it's a collision of ideas. So when I say I don't pay taxes, then this whole, you're cheating, you're a crook, you're a criminal comes up. And then they can't hear me. And I talk about trade, investing. I invest as an insider. And for the average person who knows very little, they say, well, insider trading is illegal. No, it's not. But they've been programmed to think it's illegal. There are certain forms of investing where insider trading is illegal. But for the most part, it isn't illegal. But what fires off, because they've been hypnotized, oh, insider trading, he's a crook. Oh, and he doesn't pay taxes. Do you think I'd be writing about it if I was a criminal? So I wrote Fake so people could challenge the hypnosis in their brains, go to school, work hard, pay taxes, get out of debt. I used debt as money because in 1971, money became debt.
Yeah. So it seems like an underlying psychological problem more or less than information, because the information, it's available. You do such an amazing job. Well, you put your life against this goal, basically. And I'm curious about why you do that and why you continue to do it, because I think it's not intuitive to people. Like, he can make all this money and he spends his time with me in an interview teaching young people. Like, it's not exactly the most ROI use of your time, right? So if you look at it from the outside. But what do you think is so if I'm a young person listening, I'm going to listen to this. What do I have to do to break the hypnosis? Because most people that don't want to hear it will dismiss the message.
Yes.
So should I meditate? Should I spend time thinking about it? Should I just... Okay.
I love meditation. I think everybody should meditate, to cure the conflict that's going inside. Because I purposely say those things to create conflict.
Perfect.
Because if you don't change those thoughts, you'll wind up like my poor dad.
Yeah.
Very highly educated poor guy who worked very hard all his life. I felt for him.
Yeah.
Then he got fired by the people he challenged. And he found that his PhD meant nothing.
Yeah.
PhD always stands for poor, helpless, and desperate. So the moment they threw him out of the...
That's a great acronym.
So the moment they threw him out of the school system, he was like this stray dog who couldn't feed himself on the streets. The streets just ate him alive. Whereas an entrepreneur, I love the streets. It's like dog eat dog out there. It's fun. It's game. It's like playing rugby. But most academics can't play the game of rugby because it's too nasty. But some guys, I love the game.
Yeah.
I love sports.
I love it so much. Yeah. That's amazing. And what do you think, for example, if you look against, we've been in the longest, growth period of ever. Where do you think? Why are you laughing?
Growth? Go ahead.
People look at it now, and because they're scared and they're safety oriented, thinking, oh, I couldn't really start now because there's a financial crisis coming. Yeah. So why would I start now? So it's still the safety that they're looking for. So what would you say about that, about the financial crisis coming up? There should be some sort of corrections happening in the future.
Well, let me ask you this. If you had bought a ticket to get on the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
And you knew it was going to sink, what would you do?
Not buy the ticket.
Well, let's say you already bought the ticket.
Okay, I'll build the best boat to get out of it.
I would be getting ready to get off of it as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I would be looking at life rafts and checking things out and things like that.
Yeah.
Because we're going down. Yeah. And this is the difference. Crashes make the rich richer. So what happens is, there's an old saying in investing, the bear goes up, the bull goes up the stairs. There's bulls and bears, right?
Yeah.
So the bull goes up the stairs, the bear goes out the window. So if you want to get rich quick, I like the crashes.
Because you can buy low.
Oh, shit, it comes down so fast. So if you can do it in stocks, you can short the thing, you can do, a naked put, yeah. You can be instantly quick. But it's slow going up, but it's fast when it crashes. So right now, if I was a young person, I'd be taking probably a stock options course to trade the market coming down, because you'll get rich faster that way. It takes about 5 years to practice that. But I love crashes. I get really excited about a crash. Unfortunately, most people get wiped out. But nonetheless, the facts are crashes make the rich richer. That's why fake is fight fake with facts.
Yeah.
So if you want to get rich quick, it's when the Titanic is going down, you can sell lifeboats.
That's a great analogy. And what do you like about your general purpose? And we're going to wrap up here in a couple of minutes. But about your general purpose, I'm really, really curious, because most people think, again, I'm trying to think from the perspective of the stereotype, of the conditioning, let's say. And most people think, well, if I'm as rich as Robert, why would I spend time doing all these things? Even so, why would I spend time educating people? And even so, why would I even work anymore? Because if I have enough money in my head, I'm done. I need to get a vacation in Hawaii, which is exactly the reason that they don't do that. But what drives you to keep doing what you're doing? And what's your purpose going forward? Because you don't have to do any of this. And I think it's important for people to grasp that.
You're a very smart young man.
Yeah. Well, I thank you.
No, you're very intuitive. It's that I don't need the money. That's the reason I do it, I retired at 47. I had more than enough money. And people kept asking my wife, and I said, how'd you guys, she was 37. She didn't marry me for my money, because I didn't have money when we started. I lost a business just before I met her. And we just made it back. So anyway, they kept asking us, how'd you guys do it? I said, do you have a job? No. Do you have a retirement plan? No. Did you save money? No. So they kept asking us, and we created the cash flow game so they could understand income statements, balance sheets, statements of cash flow.
Which highly recommended. I took that.
Yeah, the cash flow game is how you can have fun learning about the most boring subject called accounting. And you have fun. It's like playing Monopoly. But what makes rich cash flow different than Monopoly is a financial statement.
Yeah.
Because your banker only wants to see your financial statement. Banker doesn't want your grades or what school you went to.
Yeah.
They want to know your financials. So when the markets crash, my financials are so strong, bankers threw money at me. They still call me.
Because you're the only one that has good financial statements at that point. Well, there's a low percentage.
They know I can take their debt and make money from debt. The average person will take debt and lose money. So cash flow, the game, and even Rich Dad Poor Dad, you take debt and make money. The average person takes debt and loses money. So they don't want to give you any more money. So that's what drives me on. So when I went to military school, I didn't go to regular school. Went to a military academy in New York. The first lesson, the first word they teach us is, what's your mission? Mission, mission, mission. And mission is spiritual. So that's why when I graduated from military school, I didn't have to go fight, but I felt the need to go fight. So I joined the Marine Corps to go fight. And when I came back, my poor dad says, why don't you become an airline pilot? I said, go to school, get a job, become a pilot, because you can make a lot of money and you'll pay a lot of taxes. And you can, I could hear the hypnosis coming in. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So my poor dad says, go get my master's degree, get my MBA, which I started. It was a waste of time. And my rich dad said, you have to learn about debt and taxes. So I took a real estate course. I say the same thing. Take real estate courses, take stock trading courses, I take bond courses. I just learn about the game of money. It's a game.
And have some patience, right?
It takes about 5 years to get good at anything.
Okay, perfect. Because that's a good expectation for people. People think that in 3 months they'll figure it out.
No.
Perfect.
If you're going to be a stock trader, it's 5 years and $50,000 minimum. That's what it'll cost you.
Which is less than 1 year of college, usually at Harvard. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but you have to make mistakes to learn. But our schools punish you for making mistakes. And then they also punish you for asking for help, because that's called cheating. I call it cooperation.
Yeah.
So everything is opposite from school. Entrepreneurs are not going to make good employees.
So you might as well think of your conditioning and do the opposite, and you're probably better off.
Well, you got to change. Go to school, get a job, save money, pay taxes.
Yeah.
The question right now is, how do I make so much money? I use debt, and I pay no taxes legally. I said, I wouldn't be saying that if I was crooked about it. But I don't have to hide, because I do it legally.
And you explain how that works in this book.
Yeah, as best I can. my study has been a lifelong study. So I don't, I'm making money as we're speaking right now. I have 7,000 real estate properties. I have oil wells. I have golf courses. I have commercial buildings. So money's just pouring in whether I work or not. But I'm still studying because that's how the money keeps pouring in.
Yeah.
I'm watching the horizon. It's like on the ocean. It's like, where's the next storm coming?
Yeah.
Oh, like that.
Yeah.
Or like in the case of the Titanic, when's the next iceberg coming?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of icebergs right now, and we're all in this one big Titanic. And the question, right now I'd be manufacturing lifeboats.
Yeah, for a living, for sure.
Yeah.
So, two things, and we'll end with this. One thing, and I was really fascinated, I think you spoke about it in an interview about Jonathan Haidt's book, The Coddling of the American Mind. It's not the American mind, it's right. The coddling of everybody's mind, basically.
Correct.
And people are, my question would be, what would be your advice for people that are looking to really strengthen themselves and toughen up? Because that's, when people hear this advice, then they go out in the world, and me included, but let's say I've done some sports, you've obviously had military training and all the things that I think evolved discipline in you, I'm thinking. But what would be your advice to toughen up? Because otherwise, any challenge that faces you, you're just going to fade and go back to safety.
Correct. Well, I think that's one of the biggest problems is that people, the word is called resilience.
Okay.
If like the greatest athlete in my time is Tiger Woods.
Well, he just won a championship again.
Yeah, but he went way up, and he came down as, his wife caught him cheating, everything, the humiliation, and especially as a black guy cheating on a white woman. I had so many women get so upset. How dare you cheat on a white woman? Well, he cheats. That's
not a thing to do in 2014.
What difference does it make? I just crack up at people. And then his back goes out. He has surgery, and after this long down period, he comes roaring back up to the top. And if you've ever been to Augusta, the golf course where the Masters was played, that is the toughest golf course I have ever seen. I don't know how those guys play that course.
Yeah.
You have to be a mountain goat to play that course, And these guys are taking shots from down here, the green's up here. And these guys are going, holy mackerel. So he came back. So if there's a story of resilience and determination and a comeback, it's Tiger Woods. I mean, I'm in awe of that guy. He is really a great man to come from the top to the bottom, back to the top, And we all have that in us, except in school we told us, don't make mistakes. If you fail, you're stupid. Well, he came back, it made him stronger. Yeah,
good for him. So last question, what do you think, and thank you so much for your time, this has been amazing. So what do you think is there a chance for the education system of the future to actually create abundance, wealthy people, free people, and so on? Or should it be taken on to people like yourself that create kind of like private systems of education and spread the knowledge to people? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm doing it as a private citizen, and I stay outside the school system. But if you look, I think you read this book, I think you'll notice on it says fake money, fake teachers, fake assets.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. See, it's all one big system.
Yeah.
The only way they can pull off the fake money is by having fake teachers. And the only way you can buy fake assets is by having fake money and fake teachers.
So it's a very good reinforcing loop.
And that's why I'm just saying out here to the young people, question this. Go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes, save money, get out of debt. Until that is questioned. And then ask the question, why would I be saying that at the risk of going to jail if it wasn't legal? That's the question. So guys, the rich get richer because what we do is legal, but you've been told it's illegal.
Amazing.
Say not paying taxes is legal if you're an entrepreneur, but it's illegal if you're an employee.
Any last thing you think is worth mentioning to the people listening, the young people listening, and kind of trying to figure this out? And we'll end with that.
Well, I think the key is young people, because the system of fake money, fake teachers, fake assets, they screwed me, my generation. My generation is never going to retire. The medical expenses are going to go through the roof just when America goes broke. But they didn't just screw the old guys, they screw the millennials. So they're coming out of school deeply in debt and still haven't learned anything about money. So the system of fake money, fake teachers, fake assets screws everybody, not only in Romania, but all over the world. So that's really, if you can think, comprehend something that big, then you can make your own personal choices and changes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Robert, for your time. If everybody that's listening, hope people act on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.